One will be the route followed by previous expeditions, up the flanks of Lhotse toward Everest's southeast ridge. But the other will be a new one, up Everest's west ridge, never climbed or even attempted. On the lower mountain, all will follow the same route, through the icefall. And there is no more dangerous stretch on the whole ascent, forever rumbling, crumbling in its billion-ton mass. During the second day of climbing, a group of men are threading their way up through the labyrinth when a cliff of ice collapses, roaring down upon their route. It's a thing of blind chance of an instant. When the instant is past, all is stillness again. But when the tiny dots that are the climbers reappear, descending, there is one less than there had been before. John Breitenbach, age 27, of Jackson, Wyoming, lies dead and buried in a tomb of fallen ice. For 2 days, the expedition is inert at base camp, deep in shock, mourning a friend. At base camp, life must go on. The climb must go on. For Jake Breitenbach's sake, if for nothing else. And again, the team sets out for the murderous icefall, carrying logs for bridges, spanning a crevasse, an abyss. Dr. Gil Roberts moves across to make a bridge secure. Beneath him, the ice falls away into a blue cavern, hundreds of feet deep. Now one bridge crosses another. Next comes scientist Jim Lester. Up ahead, an advance team of Lou Jerstad and Dick Pownell spearhead the drive. It was an ice cliff such as this that peeled off and toppled, killing Jake Breitenbach. But there's no way around it, and the climbers tackle it head on, slowly, carefully, using their special equipment and all their mountaineering skills. Down at base, scientific work begins. 5 separate research projects are carried on by specialists in glaciology and solar radiation, and in physiology, psychology, and sociology. The last 3 concerned with the reactions of men under prolonged stress and duress. Here, glaciologist Maynard Miller is recording the duration of time the sun is obscured by clouds. During the approach, smallpox broke out among the expedition porters, and so Dr. Dave Dingman vaccinates the Sherpas. For days and weeks to come, team members and Sherpas will move up and down the icefall, carrying the vast amount of food and gear that is needed to stock the higher camps. Now there are many bridges across the chasms and fixed ropes on the icy walls. Again, there are interested spectators, but these are not crows. These are Himalayan ravens, which the Sherpas call goraks. High in the icefall, there is now a spidery ladder, and on it a Sherpa is giving his all, but breaking the strictest expedition rule by climbing unroped. The rope is literally the lifeline of a climber, the difference between safety and danger, even survival and death. Not quite Superman, perhaps, but close to it. At last, the ice fall has been surmounted, with Camp 1 established at more than 20,000 feet. Overall, the weather's been good, with some afternoon snow. From here on, for a while, the going will be easier, up the long incline of the western Coombe. Coombe, that is spelled C-W-M. It's a Welsh word meaning glaciated valley or basin. It's the name given by the British to this high corridor to Everest. But the Swiss had a better name for it. The Valley of Silence, sealed off from the world by the highest walls on Earth. Plodding on, goggled and hooded, the load bearers move like a file of specters. Halfway up the Coombe, Camp 2, Advanced Base. It is now April. The altitude is 21,350 feet, 1,000 feet higher than the top of Mount McKinley, the highest point in North America. But the real climbing of Everest is just about to begin, with 2 advance guards probing 2 routes toward the summit. One will climb up the Coombe and the walls of Lhotse to the South Col, the other up steep slopes, constantly menaced by avalanches, toward the unknown West Ridge. At Advanced Base, physiologist Will Siri, deputy leader of the expedition, prepares to analyze a blood specimen, spinning the blood in a centrifuge to separate cells from serum. Most of the climbers have undergone an ordeal at the great heights, and one who has suffered most is cameraman Dan Doody. Now he's been stricken by thrombophlebitis, the clotting of blood in his leg. He's being treated by Dr. Gil Roberts. At such altitudes, thrombophlebitis is a killer. And without expert care, Doody might well have died in a few days. As it is, he will get well, but will do no more climbing on Everest. Through most of April, 2 fierce battles are waged in the white wilderness above. On the South Col route, Camp 3 is established at the head of the Coombe. Camp 4 high on the Lhotse face. And on April 16th, Lute Jester, Dick Pownell, and 2 Sherpas reach the col itself at a height of 26,200 feet. On the second front, the West Ridge team establishes Camp 3W, for West, reaches the ridge, and pushes onto a site for 4W at more than 25,000 feet. Back at Advanced Base for a breather, the men of both teams are poised to push on higher. The West Ridge spark plugs Dr. Tom Hornbein and Willie Unsold. South Col climbers Jim Whittaker and Lute Jersted. There are some who feel that the 2 assaults should be mounted simultaneously, but this would stretch the expedition's resources very thin. Leader Norman Durenforth must make the major strategic decision. He decides the Col route will come first. This is the way taken by 6 previous expeditions, British, Swiss, and Indian. The way by which the summit of Everest was first reached by Sir Edmund Hillary, and later by 4 Swiss climbers. The only known route to the top of the world. On the frozen heights, oxygen will be literally the breath of life, and Tom Hornbein, designer of the breathing masks, gives the Sherpas instructions on how to use them. Something special will go up with the loads. Up all the way, if it's humanly possible. Barry Bishop of the National Geographic Society prepares to take a picture of Jim Whittaker. Whittaker and the Sherpa Noengombu have been chosen to make the first try for the top. Accompanying them as far as possible will be Norman Durenforth and the Sherpa Angdawa, with Durenforth filming. A support team following a day later will be Lou Jersted, Dick Pownell, Barry Bishop, and Gurmy Dorji, and a crew of the best Sherpas carrying loads to the highest camp. Above advanced base, if no storms strike, the climbers will move each day from one camp to another, and on the 5th day will come the bid for the summit. On the 1st day, up the white ramp of the Coombe toward Camp 3, at the foot of Lhotse. At 3, the climbers are at about 23,000 feet. From here on, in the thin, bitter air, climbing will be on oxygen. Before leaving, Jim Whittaker gets set. So does his climbing partner, Nalengombu. And off they go, up the walls of Lhotse, the long and the short of it. At 6'5", Big Jim Whittaker is the tallest man on the expedition. Ngombo is barely over 5 feet, but in strength and endurance, they're well matched, and also in will and desire. It is not simply by lung and limb that men climb to the heights. Only by a tremendous drive of mind and spirit can they force themselves up into this world above the world. Hour after hour, they struggle on. The Sherpa carriers follow after them. And now they've reached Camp 4, high on the Lhotse face, at about 25,000 feet. After a day of toil and hazard, there are compensations to lift the heart.